All right, we are starting. Good morning, everybody. It's Rain to Ruby call on Monday, October the 3rd. And I am Heather Rice, Emerald Ambassador with Plexus. And today I am going to be discussing with you guys the keys to being a powerful communicator. So how many of you guys want to be able to effectively communicate better with your people? I know that I do. So hopefully some of these things that we share today will be beneficial for you. I want to start by saying that one of the things that we have to do to be able to be a powerful communicator is we have to learn to overcome the nerves that it takes to step out and actually talk to people. And sometimes that's hard because not all of us are extroverts. Some of us are introverts, and that is hard whenever you have those nerves and it's hard to step out. So what we want to talk about today is some of the things that will help us with that, as well as posturing yourself so that you can project confidence when you talk to people. This can be in a business setting as well as when you talk to friends or strangers. And we just want to learn to prepare to enter these conversations that we're going to have with people. And a lot of that comes with really good preparation for the actual discussions to take place. So we're going to talk about reading our audience. We're going to talk about tailoring our content so that the audience receives the information that we're giving them. We're going to talk about how to use persuasive tone, but also still stay authentic and also still stay organic when we talk to people. And a lot of that is just practice. We've talked a lot about that before, about how important it is to practice, practice, practice. So the other things that we're going to cover today are being in control of your environment, and some of the things that you may need to have handy when you're actually talking to people so that you're not scrambling around to try to get all of your spirals and pens and paper and those things. And then we're going to also talk about handling objections effectively. Now, we are starting this week. I'm going to be kind of setting the tone for the following 5 days. As you know, if you've been following with us, those of us that are leading this group, we have taken and broken down each day, and we take little snippets. And so everybody's going to be kind of piggybacking off of what I'm going to share with you guys today. So hopefully you guys can drill down and get further information every day when you watch each person's video, each one of the leaders that's going to share with you, and they're going to take my lead and go from that. So let's start out. We're going to talk about overcoming nerves and stepping out of our comfort zone. And this is a topic that's really, really hard for some people, and then for others it's a lot easier. So what I'd like to share with you is that it's very easy when you look at this and look at it as, I just need to be me. I need to be authentic. I need to be real with people. And so one of the things that I do is, first of all, I pray before I get in touch with people, because I feel like I'd rather have God giving me the words than me just trying to rely on myself, because I know that if it's just me, I can get fumbled up. But if it's Him giving me the words, then it always works out a lot better. So pray and just take some deep breaths. Breathe in, breathe out. You know, these people that we are talking to, that we're sharing with, God has put in our path. And so He is going to give us the words. He's going to help calm us, and He's going to be the one we're going to be the conduit, kind of the mouthpiece that He's going to speak through to share with these people. So just be confident and know that you are capable of the information that you are going to share with people when you get in touch with them. So put your shoulders back, take a few breaths, say a prayer. Make sure that you maintain eye contact with people when you're talking with them. This is very important. Sometimes that is hard, especially if you have distractions, such as a phone sitting there popping up with messages. I like to turn my phone over if I have to have it out, or just keep it in a bag or a purse. That way I don't get distracted whenever I'm talking to somebody. So the first thing you want to do is you want to be authentic with these people. So people, you guys know, can see through fluff. And so if you're anything like me, you know what it's like to have somebody come alongside and talk to you about something and be just very sales pitchy. Isn't that one of the things that is a huge turnoff to you guys? It is for me. I want to run away in the fastest way that I can when I hear that. And so what I would like to challenge you to do is be genuine, because people can sense when you are disingenuine. You don't have to have all of the answers to the questions they may ask. And sometimes that can get you real stressed out from the get-go. If you think you're going to have all the answers, and you might be new at this, you may have done this for a while, but you think, oh my gosh, what if they ask me something I don't know? Don't pretend that you know the answers if you don't. It's okay. Because guess what? We have tons and tons of resources that we can use in this company. We have tons and tons of great mentors in this business, as well as a great success kit and online resources that can help us. And so you do not have to have all the answers, but you do have to have a firm grasp on your own testimony. Guys, whenever we share this with people, we've said before, this is a relationship business. And so when you are talking with somebody, you have to know your story, okay? Because that's really what it's about. It's about sharing the hope and the health benefits and maybe the financial benefits that you've seen through the business of Plexus. But you have to be able to quickly and effectively be able to communicate your story with people, because that's what's going to connect with them. That's what's going to resonate with them. So be sure that when you are talking to people, that you do already have a firm grasp on your testimony and you're able to share it clearly and quickly. We say the elevator speech. If you have something that you can throw together with information about you and your story that you might be able to share on an elevator with some people as you go up a couple floors, that's what we're talking about. Doesn't have to be tons and tons of details, because, we tend to lose interest when people ramble, when people go over and over details. And I'm guilty of that. I'm a talker. And so I have the tendency to overemphasize things and talk and talk and talk. And I'm learning to kind of scale some of that back and really try to assess and listen to the things that people say that they need, and not me just have an answer, because I don't have to always have an answer. I also want to tell you, one of the things that's important with stepping out of your comfort zone and kind of overcoming those jitters is that when you have a discussion with someone, and you guys, this is and was one of my biggest struggles, but I am learning there are ways that you can handle this and not sound like a goofball. So if you guys have seen me in the past and had been on calls that I've had, and just had conversations, one of the things that I really struggled with was saying a lot. And so I would say or oh, or, well, so da 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 da. Okay, so what that does to people is it kind of distracts them. It also makes it look like you're not prepared or you don't know what you're going to say. And I think and oh is kind of a fallback for us, because we may be talking, we may lose our train of thought, we might get the jitters in the moment, and so it's easier to just kind of fall back on until you think of the next thing that you're going to say, right? So what I would like for you to do is pay special attention to your verbiage when you're talking to people. You want to sound professional. You don't want to sound like you're stumbling or fumbling through whatever it is you are talking to them about. So I have made a very, very conscious decision. I still am not completely perfect at this, because we all know we're not perfect, but I'm a lot farther along in this struggle than I used to be. And so you want to be very, very aware of saying when you're having a discussion with somebody. And maybe that's not your struggle, but I do see it as a struggle for a lot of people. And so if you come upon a time where you feel like you're about to say what I suggest and I'd like to challenge you to do is to just stop for a second, pause, and be silent. And then when you are able to get your thoughts together of what you were going to share next, you proceed and you say, I would like to share this information with you. To us, the silence seems like it's forever, and it seems kind of deafening sometimes, but really the person that's on the receiving end hearing the information doesn't view it that way. You look more professional, and you look like you know what you're talking about when you're not fumbling and You see what I'm saying? So pause and be silent if you need to, and that can help you with making yourself sound like you are in control of the conversation. So next we're going to run into the next part of reading your audience and tailoring the content to be delivered in a way that they receive the information, okay? And so for those of you who've been on these calls and have done some of your own homework in the color languages with the color book, I'm not going to go into that because I've done several videos on that. We've discussed it a lot, but it is very important for you to know the color languages of the people that you are going to be speaking to, whether that be in a business environment, as far as if you're leading a business opportunity meeting, or if you are just doing one-on-one with a stranger or a friend. Now, with a stranger, it might be a little bit harder for you to determine what a person's color language is until you get talking to them a little bit and kind of ask some interrogative questions, such as what do you like to do in your free time? You might get a better handle on what their personality is if they tell you that they like to, do things that are adventurous, as opposed to them saying something like, oh, I like to, go to the library and sit down and read a book in a quiet corner. So those are the kind of things that you have to ascertain when you're talking to people. And so if you can speak that language, like we've said before, you're already off to a great start, because the way that they hear you and the way that they receive and process that information is going to take you a long way in the business. Because if they're not hearing you and the way that you are presenting the information to them, then you really aren't doing a very good job at reading your audience, and you're sure not going to be able to tailor the information to meet their needs. And so your content should basically be an overview of whatever information you're trying to disseminate. So what I mean by that is this. Whenever you are formulating a response to somebody, or you're sharing the opportunity with them or the products with them for the first time maybe, you want to kind of have, like I said, when we practice, you want to kind of have a set thing that you would say to somebody if they asked you about the products. Now, you're not going to go over every little detail, because you don't want to run them off or just get them distracted because they may not want to hear all the details. What you want to do is you want to basically touch briefly on the things, maybe it's the benefits of a certain product. Maybe it's the business opportunity. You're going to tailor those to the actual needs that those people have. So say, for instance, you're talking to somebody and you want to tailor the information so that you leave them wanting more information. You see what I mean? It's different than if you just give it all out, lay it all out on the carpet, because you want to leave them coming back for more, because you want another opportunity to be able to discuss things with them further. So you don't have to drill down too far into every little aspect to accomplish the task of getting the information to them in an effective way. And so the little aspects of things, you're going to lose their interest if you continue to ramble. One of the things that you would do if you were speaking on topics, like say, for instance, you have somebody that you're going to have a business opportunity meeting, so you're going to have a lot of people at this meeting. So you're going to tailor that conversation differently than you would say if you met your friend for coffee, right? So you're going to have different things. You're going to be able to read the audience, because if you have someone right there in your face, you're going to be able to read their body language. You're going to be able to read when their eyes start to glaze over. Same way with an opportunity meeting where you have a large amount of people, but you're going to have to speak to the different topics in a different way. If you had somebody that was new and you were talking to them on a one-on-one basis and they are just learning about Plexus, you're going to talk to them probably briefly on the products. You're going to kind of give them an overview of what the products do. Now, say, for instance, you're doing the same thing, but you have a large group of people. You may have the bottles set out on a big table. You may go through each product briefly. You're going to be able to read the audience. Are they receiving the information you're saying? Do you need to scale back? Do you need to repeat something again? Do they look like they're lost? Do they look like they're not following you? Do they look like they're kind of, what did she say? So you want to be cognizant of that. And you want to be able to differentiate when is the right time to maybe drill down a little further into information. If you're meeting with a person one-on-one and they are interested in the business opportunity, then of course you're going to probably drill down a lot further and have a compensation plan there. And you're going to show them maybe how that works, how they can get to silver, which is the first goal, how they can get to the next level, what it's going to take to get to those levels. And so if you were talking to a team of people that already are on your team, then of course it's going to look a lot differently, because you're probably going to be more focused on drilling down on things like team building or goal setting, and that's going to be more applicable to a team environment than, say, a one-on-one. So you just really have to know your audience. You have to kind of get a feel for them and approach them in a way that is the way they need to hear it. And so one of the other things that you can do for this is to really limit the distractions, because you want to be in control of your environment. When you are leading something, leading a conversation, leading a meeting, you want to be the one that's in control. And so what you want to do with that is you want to make sure that there's not a ton of distractions. You know, there's funny little things that can happen when you're having meetings or even one-on-ones with people that make you kind of get frustrated because it interrupts. There could be a baby crying if somebody brings a child to a meeting, or you might be in Starbucks and you might hear the coffee grinders going. But you want to really reduce the amount of distractions, because of course everybody's time is valuable and you want them to be there to hear what you have to say and receive it well. Now, I would like to talk next about using persuasive tone, and also how do you still maintain authenticity when you are using persuasive tone. Now, I have to give props to my fellow leaders in this. Phil and Jen Mango have done an excellent job on the video that they posted a few weeks back. And if you haven't watched it, please go back. It's talking about closing the deal, which is an important part of any transaction that you have in this business. Whether you're just talking to somebody, you always want to offer them the opportunity to join you on this, whether it be as a product of the product, whether it be your business opportunity, or just to feel better. But one of the things that they are excellent at, and Phil especially is great at this because of his sales experience, and that is using a persuasive tone. It doesn't mean that you're going to manipulate the situation. It doesn't mean that you're going to cast aside what people's intentions are when they're talking to you. It means being a good listener and being a good judge of when to say something, when to not say something. And so when it is your time to say something, then you have to enter into that with a persuasive mindset, but yet you still need to remain authentic. You need to remain true to yourself. Don't be sales pitchy, because that's going to run people off, right? So here's a few things that I think are very paramount to be able to effectively persuade someone into seeing what opportunity you're trying to share with them. And that the first one is to insert your personal stories. People are going to resonate with your story because of the fact that this is a relationship business, and we are going to either befriend someone or continue a friendship that we've already started with somebody. And so when you insert those personal stories, people start to recognize, oh, she's just like me. Oh, she has that struggle? Okay, well, maybe this is something that I could do. Maybe this is something that, I might benefit from these products, or I might do a good job as a business leader. Like she was telling me, she didn't get into this to do it as a business, but look, I see her as successful. So don't be afraid to be transparent with people and show them the things about you that make you unique, because everybody resonates differently with different people's personality. Different people's stories are going to touch you in a different way. And so to be able to be persuasive with them, you want to first gain their trust. They need to see that you are in this for their benefit. So when you start to share your story, and then they start to trust and they start to see, and then they start to open up and share their story. And so this is a good time where you can then kind of segue into using, like we've talked about before, the feel, felt, found method. And what that is, for those of you who are not familiar with it, it ties in very well with your own story, okay? Because when you're talking to people, you can, when you're done giving your story and they start talking about theirs, you can be sympathetic and you can empathize with them, and you may see their struggle because you're listening to what they're telling you. And so then you can come back and say, you know what? I felt that same way. You know, I hear what you're saying, and I feel maybe the pain of the health, you're not as healthy as you want to be, or whatever the situation would be. So you would then take that and continue to elaborate on the conversation, and you would say something like, you know, I know how people feel when they're trying to get healthy, okay? And so sometimes I think it can get overwhelming whenever we don't know where to start, but I can totally feel what you're saying about wanting to get healthy and not really knowing where to start. I totally can understand that. Do I start a new diet? Do I get some new supplements? Do I go to the gym? Do I change, you know, do I exercise more? Whatever it is. Those are the things that you can relate to. So you can tell them, I totally felt the same way you did when I started this. You know, you're building this trust with them. They're seeing from you that, wow, these people are just like me. You're not just some person that's way up here on this pedestal. You're real. You're you. And so then you can segue into, you know what I found was then when I added things slowly into my routine, I was starting to see that it wasn't so stressful. It didn't overcome me. It wasn't one of the things that made me freak out because I didn't know how I was going to handle this. So you start to just kind of explain that you felt a certain way, and now you've decided that since you started this process that you are feeling more prepared, you're more empowered to make these decisions for your own health, for your own business, you know, and you just relate it in a way that it makes sense to them, right? So you're going to tell them, you know, now that I kind of broke it down a little bit, you know, this might be something that we can do together. So you can feel more empowered like I do to make the decision and make the step. Because a lot of this is, so many people start this just to feel better. They didn't do this. They didn't start Plexus because they wanted to make it a business. And so you want to be persuasive in your tone to explain to them, you know, what it was like for you and what it can be like for them. And so when you approach things with that feel, felt, found method, like we've talked before, it makes people understand it on a different level, and it makes them realize that they are worth feeling better. They're worth what it takes to do this. And so another thing that's beneficial when you're talking to somebody and being persuasive in your tone is that when you use, I call them I statements, people can't argue with you when it comes to the way you felt about something. And so that's why I love the I feel, I felt, I found, because that is going to set you up for them to hear you on a level that they will take hold of, and hopefully that will lead them to taking action, which is what we want in the end. We want them to take action, and we want to help persuade them to take that action. And so a lot of this has to do with practice. You know, Rainey has said so many times it's about practice, 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 and it really is. And it seems odd and weird and cliche to say that you would have to go over and over and over again something that you were going to share with somebody. But guess what? The more you do it, the more prepared you feel, and the more foundation that you have when you're talking to somebody to be able to elaborate on something, because you have a firm grasp on the information. And so if you go into something as a new person, or you're explaining something to a new person and you have no idea what you're going to say to them, first of all, you're not going to be prepared, you're not going to be persuasive, and you're not going to be practiced. So you're probably going to leave that situation doing less than what you would have wanted to do. And so practicing with a partner and sharing the information that you're going to share eventually with somebody is so paramount, because that practice gives you the confidence that you need when you step into an actual situation, into real life. And so I would highly encourage you to find a partner. If you don't have one, you could probably put on this page if you're looking for a partner, and somebody else may be looking for a partner as well. But you need to have somebody that you can bounce these ideas, practice these role play things with other people. You guys banter back and forth, flub it up, because guess what? That's what happens in real life. And so if you could get with a partner or a sideline or a spouse, somebody who you can just be real and honest with, and they can share with you the way that they share, and you can share with them the way that you share. And you know what? This is very important for those of us who have the struggle of sharing our own story. It's so much better to run it off of somebody who can just sit and listen and give you feedback. Maybe you shouldn't say it this way. Maybe this was good. Maybe you should have said this a little differently. But practice, especially if you struggle with effectively relaying your own story, is going to be huge for you, because that is so, so important. And so because we are in this relationship business, you have to cultivate these relationships with people. And when you are talking to people and you are trying to be persuasive of them to either try the products, join your business, whatever it is, those relationships have to be based on honesty. They have to be based on your integrity. They have to know that they can trust you. Because if they can't trust you, then they're probably not going to join your team. They may not try the product because they may think, oh, she's just trying to sell me something. Remember, we said don't be sales pitchy. But you have to be consistent in those relationships that you have with people. And so being authentic with those people that God has placed in your path means that you are engaging in their life beyond Plexus, beyond wanting to just sell them a product. So if that means that you call somebody that you haven't talked to in a long time just to talk and ask how their life is going, that is huge. Because think about this. Whenever someone comes to you, and this happened to me a couple weeks ago. 2 people came to me, hadn't talked to. One of them I hadn't talked to in about 2.5 years. And she was like, hey, I just wanted to talk to you and see what's going on in your life. But really, she wanted to sell me this product that she is now a distributor for. Well, to me, it felt very off-putting because she hadn't talked to me in 2.5 years. And I felt very like she was kind of targeting me almost. Had she gone on my page, on my Facebook page, and maybe commented a few times about what was going on in my life, commented on maybe some of my personal posts, I would have felt a lot better at giving her the time had she not approached it the way that she did. And so I really want you to focus on engaging with people that you have in your life. If you are engaging with those that you have done life with in the past, it's okay, and it's probably preferable to engage with them on a personal level first. Don't just go into it and start talking about Plexus, because that seems very cheesy. It seems very like, hey, I know I haven't talked to you in 3 years, but you want to talk about Plexus? I know you could use it. How kooky is that? It sounds so fraudulent to me. And so the life and information that you share with these people, their life, your life, that is going to be what sets you up for them to trust you, okay? The social, the word that I'm trying to think of is not coming to my mind right now, so I won't sit and say, it'll come to me later. But basically, your social network, the people that you've done life with in the past, in the present, in the future, are going to depend on you. They're going to depend on your integrity, what you stand for, what you believe in. They watch you. They see, is she still with this? Is she one of those people that I could say, I would like to do life with her, okay? So you're going to persuade people a lot more if you are authentic and you cultivate those relationships beyond just trying to sell them Plexus. It's very important that you let people know that you're not there to pressure them. One of the things that people ask me a lot of times is, well, how do you, what do you do whenever someone comes to you and they ask you about a product. Okay, well, it's great when I hear somebody come to me that's a new person that may have been referred to me by somebody, but I definitely don't just full out give them the whole catalog of information because that's overwhelming to people. So what I usually like to tell people is, what are you looking for? What need do you have right now? What health concern you need to address? Maybe that's not a health concern. Maybe it's a wealth concern. Maybe they're interested in making some more money and they realize, oh, wow, if I start taking these products and I really like them, I might really be able to sell them to people because I believe in them. And people are going to believe in you when they see your story and your results with these products. So you don't want to come across as pressuring. You want to show them that you are genuinely concerned with them and their well-being, because after you listen to them, you're going to understand what their need is. And so it's a lot of listening and a lot less talking, but then you can direct them accordingly. And so you're not just saying, you need to try this, this, and this. You can direct them to the product from what they've said that makes them feel better. One of the ones that can make them feel better. If they need an X factor or they need blood sugar regulation, whatever it is, you're going to guide them based on what they told you. And what you think from what they told you, when you know your products, you're going to know which ones of those can benefit the different things that people have needs for. So you're always going to want to leave those persuasive conversations with the opportunity of another conversation at a later date. So you're going to leave with the expectation with them that you are going to follow up with them. Okay? And so what you want to do is you want to be available. You want to be available to provide additional information. Maybe they need a catalog. Maybe they need to be directed to your website to look at a label. Whatever the need is, you're going to leave with the expectation that you're going to follow up with them at a specified time to make sure that they have everything they need to make an educated decision. Okay? And so when you present that to them, that you are there for them, and that anything that comes up between now and when they make their decision, you can help provide them with or answer questions, then they are going to believe you because you are investing in them and you are explaining to them that you are there. You're walking on this journey with them and their needs. Okay, so that one had a lot of information, and I hope that you were able to write down a few bullet points on that. Now, now we're going to talk about being in control of your environment and having the tools that you need to have a successful conversation, whether this is a one-on-one again or a business opportunity. So some of the things that if you're sharing one-on-one, you're going to want to have on hand are things like catalogs, business cards. You want to maybe have a couple samples. Maybe you want to have a couple pink drink samples that you could say, hey, I know you've never tried this before. Here you go. You may want to have some ease samples. Some of the things that we have, it's awesome that we have samples of now because we can actually give those out to people and they can try the product without, a huge investment or anything. So if you're one-on-one with somebody, you're going to probably have your catalogs, your business cards, your samples, and maybe a compensation plan if they express interest in maybe wanting to do this as a business. So you would have that. Now, if you're sharing it with a group, you're probably going to have all of those things for sure, but you're probably going to have additional things. And so the tools that you may need to have the successful conversation if you're having a group meeting would be something like you might need a PowerPoint presentation. Let's say you're the one leading the leading the meeting. So you may need to have the tools such as the PowerPoint presentation. You may need to have a microphone that's plugged in. You might want to, let me give you a tip on this. If you do have an opportunity meeting and you have a microphone, make sure when you talk into it and hold the microphone at, I know you can't see me, but you want to hold it at chest level. You don't want it up here because it'll start sort of like this, like the Charlie Brown teacher, wah, 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 wah. And y'all know what I'm talking about. So you want to hold the microphone at breast level, okay? Because that's the most professional way to hold it. Your microphone will pick up the sound, and you will not sound like you are muffled. So your audience will love that. Also, if you're having a group meeting, one of the things you want to do is you want to make sure that you pre-select the people that you are having share their testimony. You don't want to put people on the spot. You want to have them so that they're prepared, and you want to be able to have them effectively give their testimony, share their testimony in about 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, so if you're standing there, don't let go of the microphone, all right? Hold it. You're going to be in control of your environment. If you give somebody the microphone, that gives them the liberty to ramble on and on and on. And so you may have to practice some of these things that would cut the conversation short and say, well, how did that work out for you? You know, you kind of have to summarize sometime and wrap things up. But those are the kind of things that help you be in control of your environment. And so those tools are necessary whenever you are having discussions with people. Now, I would like to talk about handling objections and negativity effectively, because this is really kind of a hard one, because we tend to think, again, that we have to have all the answers. And sometimes it's easy when someone has an objection to kind of take the negative stance. The defensive stance to their negativity. And so that's not what we want to do. That's not what we're about. We want to be able to listen to what their objection is first, get a firm grasp on it. You may need to mirror back to them. So what I'm hearing you say is blah, blah, blah. And then have them mirror that back. Yes, that's what I'm saying. I don't agree with whatever it is, okay? So some of the things you can say to them is, I really see how passionate you are about that. And then you address whatever the objection is. Now, sometimes you may need to defer the conversation to later on, maybe a one-on-one. Maybe their objection is something that doesn't need to be addressed in a huge forum if you're having an opportunity meeting, but if you're doing one-on-one, of course, you're right there with them. You may not have the answer, and you may need to tell them, listen, you know what, that's a really good question. I see you're really passionate about that, but I don't have the answer right now. But what I can do, you always want to let them know what you can do. What I can do is talk to some people, do a little bit of research, and find an answer for you. Would it be okay if I got back with you within 24 hours? So you're asking permission for them to get back to them. So you're following up, and you're telling them that I will handle this objection. I will get an answer for you. I don't have one right now, and that's okay to say. So defer sometimes these discussions to a later date if you know, ooh, I don't know the answer to this, but I'll get it. And one of the things that I found is, guys, we have such a great success kit. And for those of you guys who don't have one yet, I highly recommend you order it. But most of the people that are maybe on this call already have one because they started doing those in January. So some of y'all might not have it. But this success kit, y'all, has a lot of resources. And sometimes I feel like we reinvent the wheel when the wheel's already been created. And so one of the things that I liked on page 52 of the success kit is there's a little excerpt in there about handling blocking objections. And so I think that would be handy for you guys to go back and use as a resource, because it's a really good way to be able to handle these objections. A lot of them we can block before they even come up. And that gives you a great guide, gives some great guidance on how to do that. So refer back to page 52 in the success kit on blocking objections if you guys need some further help with that. And so to kind of summarize all of this, the more that we practice this, guys, the more that we learn to really tailor our conversations towards the audience so that we can deliver that content, the more that we are comfortable with our own story, the more that we step out, the more that we find comfort in having the product knowledge that we need to be able to be armed when someone asks us a question. It all goes back to practice, practice, practice. Some of it you should be able to commit to memory, because everything that we do is in brief snippets. I think that we overdo a lot of things and we make things harder for us than we really need to make it. And so I really challenge you guys to practice this stuff. You know, you can practice all of the things that we've discussed on this call today. And, you know, it's about being prepared. It's about being professional, and you're professional when you're prepared. And it's about practice. So my final challenge in this is just be you. Be comfortable with you. Be comfortable with your story. Be comfortable with the people that you have around you and that you have this opportunity to share this with, because we know how beneficial these products are for our health. We know what it can do to transform lives when you decide to maybe take this on more of a full-time and make this as your business. But all of us have within us the ability to learn these skills and learn these skill sets that will make us effective. And so now I would like to open up the floor for any questions. I invite any of the leaders to unmute themselves so that they're available to answer any questions that people might have. So if you have a question, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask it. And Rainey, do you want me to stop the recording right now or keep it going?
I think you could go ahead and stop it, I guess. I always think with questions it's best to stop just so we can always make sure we're staying super compliant.
Okay.
So
Let me do that for right now. Hang on just a second.